Welcome back to another video here on the salt flats, and it is sunrise again. It's the last day we'll be here. We're not racing anymore. We've already done everything that we can do, so which is good. But quite a few of you have actually wrote to me and asked me, well, can you go over some of the rules? Can you show the prep of the car? Can you talk about prep and tech and all that stuff? So I'll make a video about it. I'm going to talk more about the clubs, how they work, even though I did talk a little bit about them in the other video when we were doing runs and stuff. But I'll try to explain them the best I can. They are kind of confusing at first, but when you come out here and run, I mean, it's no different than going to a drag strip really. After you make your first run, then it's all just second nature to you. But so I'm going to start on the outside of the car, and then we'll kind of work our way inside. Okay, so for the 130, 150 club rules, there's not a whole lot you have to do, especially for the 130. The 130 club is a street class club. You do have to have insurance, you have to have a registration, you have to have current tags, all that good stuff. But you can literally take a brand new car and run the 130 club if you want. You have to have a drive shaft loop, and they will check, and you have to have a proper seat belt. 3-point factory. However, but you have to have a good up-to-date seat belt system in it, and you have to have the right tires. So you have to have H-rated or better tires on the car, and you can have the factory size wheels on your car. So like Corvettes might have 12-inch rear tires. You can run those, which aren't a very good idea out here. But other than that, you can't go wider than 8 inches. And most people run drag racing front runners, the little 4-inch tires, because those have pretty much a 200 mile an hour speed rating. So people run all 4 of those on their car, even the rears. So you'll see some really skinny, weird looking tires on these cars, but the skinnier the tire, the better off you are, especially at higher speeds. I'm running 7-inch wide wheels and tires on this right now. They're just H-rated. You have to have metal valve stems, so just ignore that you just saw rubber ones on this car, and I ran it. You don't have to have any kind of spoilers or anything like that, and you don't necessarily have to tape your headlights. It's just, I can tell you this much at Bonneville: if you are a little bit of an overachiever in these classes and you wear like your fire suit, because you're not required to wear a fire suit in the 130 club, they're not going to hassle you as much through tech. But if you're not prepared and all that stuff, you're just going to have a harder time, because they do kind of remember who you are, and they definitely have a log of you. So if all your stuff's ready and you don't have too many problems or anything, you're going to fly through. And if you're overachieved, you're definitely going to fly through quicker, because they're going to know, well, this guy's already got all his poop in a group, and we're not going to have to really think that there's anything going on with this car. Lastly, you do have to have for anything you're out here, you have to have an overflow for your radiator, water catcher. You can't be leaking any oil, obviously. Now how well they check that, I don't know, but they don't want you leaking oil out onto Bonneville. Same with your pits. When you're pitted up, you have to have tarps. You have to leave your car on tarps. They can't sit on the salt. Anything you have, awning, tent, anything like that has to be anchored down. And the best thing to use out here to anchor this down are just 6-8-inch long decking screws, or just wood screws, the like Torx head screws with washers. You can tie your tarp down and it'll never move. So that's what pretty much everybody anchors down here. You just drill those right through the salt. So there's about 8 inches of salt, and then kind of a mud layer, and then some water and some other murky stuff. So you can bite all the way through that salt and hold all your stuff down with it. Just another quick note about this, a lot of people get in trouble coming out here thinking they can do what they want. Speed limit's 45 miles an hour. When you get to the pits, it's 25. Anything out here, I think, is still 25 miles an hour. If you're caught doing donuts, driving really fast, which a lot of people come out here and try to do, you will get busted and you will get kicked out of here. So, and hopefully the wind isn't distorting all of this. So we'll move along inside the car real quick and talk about some more stuff here. Okay, as far as the car goes, like I said, you can use your stock car. You just got to have a speedometer and everything. So you don't have to have anything fancy. You can have your factory seat belts. If you're driving an older car, like let's say earlier like 60s or something, and all you have is a lap belt, they will require you to have some sort of shoulder strap in the 130 Club. You have to have a 3-point or better seatbelt system. But most cars are fine for that. So that's really all there is to the 130 Club. The 150 Club gets a little bit different. You got to have, I believe it's V-rated tires or better. You have to have a 4-point or better roll cage or roll bar. I have a 6-point in this. That roll bar does have to be certified by a racing sanction. I'm not entirely sure how all that works, but that was kind of what was holding me back here. You have to have a 5-point harness, seatbelt harness, drive shaft loops. You have to have a fuel shutoff switch. You have to have a neck brace, arm restraints. So arm restraints is they keep your arm from traveling any higher than a certain amount, so you can't accidentally have your hand out the window. So if you crash, your arms can only wiggle so far where they can't go out anywhere on you. So and they did change the rules on what kind of arm restraints you can have now. So I'm going to pick up a official rule book, because anything after the 150 Club is not on the website. You have to have an official rule book, and we're going to build that 69 Javelin shell to become a good racer. So, you know, as I build that on YouTube and put videos up, we're going to build it according to the rule book. So after the 150 Club, though, you know, a lot of you guys are writing that you're going to come out here and do 200 mile an hour, you're going to come out here and do this and that. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So you have to have a license to go 200 mile an hour, and you're better off to work your way up to 130, 150. You don't have to do the 130 Club. And believe it or not, the 130 Club is the hardest club. The 150 Club is pretty easy to get into. So you would have to do the 150 Club, and then you'd have to build your car even more beefy than the 150 Club to attempt a 175 license at the short course. Once you get your 175 license, then you can start doing competition, you can start going to the long course, and you can start building your car to go 200 mile an hour. Like I said, you don't just come out here and say, I got a car and I'm going to go 200 mile an hour. It just does not work that way. And you're going to have to cut your car up and do some major modifications to your car to go that fast. To even go 175, you're not going to be driving that car in the street anymore. So keep that in mind too when you're going to come out here and do 200 miles an hour. You just don't show up to do it. But you can come out and do 130 pretty easily with driving your car here, and you can come out and do 150 fairly easy too with keeping your car pretty well stocked. Other than that, like I said, everything else above 150 is going to require the rule book and the official build book. So like I said, hopefully you follow me in that and we'll learn all that together. Lastly, talking about how the clubs work. The 130 Club, you have a standing mile. You do from a stop to 1 mile, and you have right after the 1 mile to take your time up to 135 feet. Now that's just up to. It doesn't mean that that's what they're going to take it. So you should be rolling fast enough that 135 foot doesn't even matter. You cannot go over 139.9. If you do, you get tossed out. And I think they just toss you out for this year. They don't ban you for life. If you get all crazy and Steve McQueen-like and want to go open your throttle and go as fast as you can and ignore all the rules, you will get thrown out of here for life. They do not mess around with you on that. The short course where the 130, 150 club is only 4 miles long, so you don't have a whole lot of midlife crisis road there to run on. And a lot of people do that midlife crisis, go as fast as they can, and they pay for it. So the 150 club, the reason it's quite a bit easier is you have 2.25 miles. They start taking your time at the 2.25 mile mark. So I can do 152 mile an hour right at the 3/4 of a mile mark in this car and slam on the brakes and slow way down and roll through at 139.8. So that's why that 150 club is easy. If I can do that in a mile in this car, you have 2.25 miles to do 150 miles an hour. So they make that one pretty easy, because that's pretty much, you have to do 150, then you can start doing 175. So the 130 is optional, but it's a very tough club to get into. And of course we made it into it now twice. We have 2 hats and 2 Hall of Fames on it. And I ran 139.8012 or something, so I might get a small award for that as well. So other than that, like I said, not a whole lot to this stuff. Of course, the AMX is kind of set up as a drag car, whatever, you know. As far as engine modifications go, the 130 to 150 club, you can run natural aspirated, you can run turbocharged, you can run supercharged. You cannot run any other kind of fuel other than gasoline. You cannot run nitrous. You cannot run propane. You can run gasoline. You can run race fuel, but it does get checked and they do test it and make sure you're not cheating or anything. But do not come up here with nitrous, because they will not let you run that car out here at all. You cannot have anything like that. You can't have methanol injection. You can't have any of that stuff. Gasoline, or you're not coming out here. One last little tip that I was told is, if you're going to go beyond the 175, you cannot have electronic fuel injection. It has to be mechanical fuel injection if you're going to have any kind of fuel injection. So I got to look into that a little bit, but we're going to build the Javelin. We're probably just going to do carbureted with a turbo anyway, so not too worried about that. But and then after the 150 club, you got to start putting a parachute and all that other fun, goofy stuff on the car. So that's just to help you guys out, so you don't come out here and think you're going to go Paul Walker and run 200 mile an hour and stuff on everything. It's just not going to happen on your first time. So maybe your second time. It just depends on how far you go. But you got to get your license, and there's so many classes. There's D, C, B, A license. I think you got to have an A license to start running the 200 mile. D license starts at 150 to 175 and on up. So like I said, there's license you have to go through first, and then you can get your competition license and all that fun stuff. So we plan on doing that here soon, to start trying to get our licenses going. We're probably going to use the Junkyard Javelin for all of our further deals. Oh, one last thing too, you don't have to have a decal, but you do have to have your name on the car. They have to know your name on it. And you'll obviously have to write a number on your car too. But you don't have to have rear window straps either. Those are optional in the 130 club. I think the 150 you do. But like I said, we're going to build that Junkyard Javelin up, and that's probably going to be our new Bonneville Salt Flats car. And we're going to try to kind of retire the AMX out of getting so beat up and wore out. And I guess cut up that Javelin. But what you guys think about it, you can let me know in the comments or on our Facebook group page, if whether or not Chelsea should run the Gremlin out in the 130 club next year, and if there's enough people wanting to see the Gremlin out here on the course and set a 130 club record and probably be the first Gremlin to do such a thing, then let us know. Other than that, as always, thanks for watching my videos. I hope this helps you guys out some. Feel free to ask us questions. Like I said, check out our Facebook group page. It's 68_AMX_LS, or check us out on Instagram. But till the next video, thanks for watching.